North Carolina Senator Thom Tillis. He's joining us via Zoom. Senator, thank you as always for taking the time. Walk us through this group and the conversations you've begun to have.
Well, the president, he's creating a business group that's separate from the congressional task force that he asked me to be a part of. We had a conference call with the president and the vice president and some members of the COVID task force yesterday. And the idea is for us to begin to refine the concept of what a safe restart would look like, with an eye towards potentially opening some businesses as early as the first part of May. The way that we'll do that is to use data that give us a reasonable degree of confidence that there are certain counties or regions of states or entire states that could potentially open up, as long as we're maintaining a positive trend for the spread of the virus.
Senator, the stimulus checks rolled out this week. Our newsroom, our front desk, I'm sure your office, inundated with people calling, dealing with issues on the IRS website, whether it's updating its account information, determining eligibility, money may be in the account, not in the account. This was a huge endeavor. So what's your message to them other than patience?
Well, you took the words right out of my mouth, Dave. I mean, if you take a look at, we're hearing the same kinds of reports from the Department of Employment Security, the unemployment office in North Carolina. We're dealing with a scale that's unprecedented. We're talking about 80 to 90 million bank account credits that have to get out. So even if you have a 0.5% error rate, that's millions of people affected. In the same way that the unemployment office, the Department of Employment Security, is dealing with nearly 600,000 requests. Over a period of time, they would expect to get maybe 15,000. So we have to exercise patience, but we've also got to be persistent. Going out to the IRS website, checking the status of your check. We've heard some reports of the wrong accounts being credited. Those have to be reversed. We've just got to work on this together. We're doing everything we can, but when you're talking about 150 to 160 million Americans potentially receiving assistance through the individual assistance alone, we're going to have to work out a few problems along the way. And people are working 7 days a week doing that.
The last time we talked to you, we were talking about small businesses. Again, that program, you said, had to work out the glitches. Well, this week, the money ran out from the initial installments there. You've been very vocal about the latest plan to approve more money. So where does that stand? And if you're a small business owner and you haven't had assistance yet, what do you say?
Well, what I would say to them is right now we're dealing with an unforced error. Speaker Pelosi and Chuck Schumer have refused to backfill with $250 billion a program that they voted for unanimously for $350 billion. So we simply need a straight up or down vote to authorize the Treasury to have an additional $250 billion. It's got to be heartbreaking for somebody who went into a bank yesterday fully expecting to be able to get a loan, having all the paperwork together, only to be told by their banker they can't underwrite the loan because the federal government, the Treasury, says they no longer have any resources. This can be fixed with a simple agreement on the Senate floor if Chuck Schumer will allow it. We tried to do it last week ahead of it because we knew that we were going to need additional resources, and we need to do it today.
Do you think we'll get it anytime soon?
I hope so. I think that if Speaker Pelosi takes a look at her state of California and the thousands of businesses that are hanging in the balance, or Chuck Schumer in the state of New York, we're seeing increasing numbers of our colleagues on the other side of the aisle voicing their support for moving forward with a straight-up vote. And hopefully we'll get that. We can have a discussion about what more we need to do. There is more that Congress will have to act on when we return in May. But we should not hold up a program that was unanimously supported while people try to put forward other priorities that we can discuss the merits of when we return in May.
Senator, very quickly before we let you go, speaking of May, earlier you said by May 1st they could see some movement with reopening. Is that a realistic date as you look at things today?
Well, Dave, in Wake County or Mecklenburg County, probably not at the scale that we may be able to look at in other counties that have had a handful of cases reported. As long as we think that the spread of the virus has been contained or the risk of spread is relatively low, and that we have the capacity in the healthcare systems in certain areas then why not look at a safe restart? Look, it's not going to be like it was in February, where you've got mass gatherings and you have bars and other places where it's simply not safe to have people get together yet. But there are a lot of opportunities for businesses to open if they open safely and they conform to guidelines that would be put forth by the governor and consistent with the guidelines coming out of the administration. We've got to look for that, because the only way we ultimately heal our economy is, first, make sure public health is preserved, but secondly, get people back to work.
North Carolina Senator Thom Tillis, as always, Senator, thanks for your time. Best to you.
Thank you, Dave. Have a great weekend.